Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today for another wonderful Tuesday call. If you're seeing this recording, I'm out on vacation. Hallelujah. I'm glad to be here with you guys, though. Still in spirit. Today, let's talk about something that I've been encountering a lot more recently that's been kind of on my mind. Nothing specifically about, gears or tools or a policy or procedure. I'd like to talk about communication, specifically how the way that we talk to each other, the way that we listen, the way that we connect directly impacts safety, trust, and the well being of our teams. And we often treat communication like background noise, something that just kind of happens through the course of the workday. You give someone a task, they nod, and off they go. But here's the truth. In a high risk environment, how we communicate is just as important as what we communicate. Let's break that down for a second. Across our teams, across the entire state of Colorado, northern New Mexico, we have a wide range of communication styles. Some people are quick and to the point. Others need time to think and reflect. Some team members want every detail in writing, while others just want the general idea and prefer to figure it out as they go. None of those are wrong. They're just different. The danger shows up when we don't slow down enough to notice those differences, when we assume that everyone hears and processes things the same way that we do, because that's where disconnects start to form and where safety starts to slip. Imagine you're walking through your yard or a job site. You give a quick set of instructions to a newer employee. You think you're being clear, but that person processes information visually, and they really needed a quick demo, not a verbal breakdown. But instead of speaking up and saying, I didn't catch that, they nod. They don't want to seem slow. They don't want to annoy you. So they go out there, they try to figure it out as they go. They guess. And the job gets done, but something's off. Maybe the load's not secure. Maybe PPE isn't used properly. Maybe the machine wasn't shut down correctly. No one meant for it to go wrong, but here we are. Not because someone didn't care, but because the communication didn't land the way that it needed to. This is why I say communication isn't a soft skill, it's a safety skill. If our teams don't feel comfortable asking questions, if they're afraid to admit that they didn't understand something, or if they're constantly guessing at what's expected of them, we've got a problem. And that problem affects our ability to protect one another. Because we can all have the best safety policies in the world, but if the message doesn't connect with the people doing the work, we still have exposure. Let's talk about how this ties into behavioral health and overall well-being. When someone feels misunderstood, or worse, ignored, it takes a toll. Maybe it's subtle at first. They feel frustrated or disconnected, but over time, that feeling grows. If someone constantly gets talked over in meetings, or if they never get the context that they need to feel confident in their role, they start to withdraw. They stop speaking up. They go quiet. And as we all know, silence is dangerous. We know that safety culture thrives in an environment of openness, where people feel empowered to say, hey, this doesn't look right, or I need help with this, without the fear of embarrassment or judgment. But when the communication culture is poor, when messages are rushed, unclear, or dismissive, people start to believe that their voice doesn't matter. That creates stress, creates resentment, and it damages the trust that we rely on to keep each other safe. So here's a mindset shift I want to challenge all of us to adopt. Just because someone communicates differently than you doesn't mean that they're wrong. It just means that they speak a different version of the same language, the language of respect. We've got team members whose first language isn't even English. We've got folks who are visual learners, others who prefer verbal instruction. We've got introverts who need a little more time, and extroverts who process things out loud. We've got experienced folks who already know the job and newer folks who are still learning, and all of them matter. Every one of them deserves to feel heard, respected, and supported. So what can you and I do about this? Well, here are a few practical steps that we can all take to improve how we communicate and, in turn, how we protect one another. First and foremost, slow down and check in. Just because you give an instruction doesn't mean it was understood. Ask a few more questions. Does this make sense? Or can I show you really quick? That one extra minute might prevent an injury. Second, know your audience. Take the time to learn how your team prefers to receive information. Does someone like to walk through things hands-on? Do they want a checklist? Are they more likely to ask questions one-on-one than in front of a group? When we adapt to our teams instead of expecting everyone to adapt to us, we become better leaders. Third, be open to feedback. Incredibly important. Encourage your folks to speak up when communication breaks down. If someone says, hey, I didn't understand what you meant earlier, don't shut them down. Appreciate it. That kind of honesty is what we need a lot more of, not less. Now, fourth, don't assume silence means agreement. If someone doesn't ask questions, it doesn't always mean that they're on the same page. It might mean that they don't feel safe enough to speak up. Create space for those voices. Now, fifth, reinforce the right behaviors. When someone communicates well, when they speak up, when they clarify expectations, when they raise a concern, thank them. Make that the norm. That is how we build a culture. As leaders, it's on us to set the tone. If we're rushing through instructions, we're cutting people off or brushing aside questions, that attitude tends to spread. But if we model patience, active listening, thoughtful conversation, those ideas spread too. People don't just follow instructions. They follow example. And let's give them ones worth following. Communication isn't about saying more. It's about connecting better, bridging the gap. It's about recognizing that the way that we speak, the way that we listen, and the way that we support one another has a direct impact on safety, performance, and morale. So as we head back into our work days, into meetings, toolboxes, installations, and production lines, let's take a little more time to connect on a human level. Let's treat communication as part of the job and not a distraction from it. Because when we get it right, people feel heard. They feel safe, they stay engaged, and they're more likely to speak up when something's not right. That's how we protect our teams, that is how we grow trust, and that's how we build the kind of safety culture that we are all proud of. Thanks again for being here. Sorry I couldn't be here in person, but I guess I kind of am in spirit, right? Thank you for everything that your teams are doing. Stay strong, stay safe, stay connected, have a great week, and stay safe out there. I'll see you next Tuesday. Goodbye.